Hey, I'm Rochelle. I'm the beauty and the comedic relief.
And I'm Bridget, the brains of the operation.
Come with us across Alberta where we show you some of the best people and places.
There might be some mess-ups and dumb jokes along the way, but we promise it'll be a lot of fun.
Hello!
Welcome back, everyone! Today we're going into Rogue Wave Cofee.
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple demos, we're gonna interview a couple people. It's gonna be a fun time.
So let's go! Check it out!
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are at Rogue Wave Cofee with Lisette, and she's going to talk to us about pour-overs.
Yeah, so do you know what a pour-over is?
I do not.
Yeah. So here at Rogue Wave, well, we are a cafe and also a roastery, and we are very well known for our pour-overs. We have a whole menu which is just pour-overs, actually.
Okay.
So usually in a cafe you can find like a menu which is like espresso-based coffee, which is latte, cappuccino, like espresso. That probably sounds very common to you. But pour-over is just like manual filter coffee. So similar to like a batch brew or just a black coffee kind of thing will be, but brewery manually. So you basically have like a dripper, hot water, you put a paper filter in, which is what we are gonna do right now, and just brew coffee. And right now we're gonna do probably something that we also offer at the shop, which is a coffee flight. Like similar to when you go like for wine or beer and they offer you like a flight so you can taste more. Because we have a lot of coffees, like our stock is usually vary between like 8, 10 like different bags of coffee from different origins from around the world, different process, different things. So we want to give our customers the chance sometimes to like don't have to buy like the whole bag of coffee and just have a taste.
Yeah.
So that's great, and a lot of people order it like for sharing as well. Like it's like a really nice moment to share a cup of coffee, taste different coffees at the same time.
And so which three are we going to be tasting? Or I'm guessing you'll get into that when you...
Which what, sorry?
Which coffees will we be tasting?
Yeah, so I just like 3 very different options, which is what I usually do for coffee flights, like try to put 3 things that taste very different in between, so it's nice to compare, and it's very obvious that coffee can taste different, because for some people just like a black coffee is, it's everything the same, coffee is just coffee, right?
Yeah.
But once you are in the industry of a specialty coffee, I guess you start learning that coffee from Colombia can be very different from a coffee from Africa or from Asia or things like that. So today we are going to taste first the coffee that we usually use for our drip coffee or batch brew, which is Colombia Cundinamarca. Something more similar to like a everyday cup of coffee, like more nutty, chocolate flavors in it. Also, when I talk about flavoring coffee, it's mostly just like when we taste a coffee, it has some flavors that remain as chocolate, for example, or as apples or honey or floral. It doesn't mean that actually the coffee has those notes in it. Okay. So yeah, that one will be the first one. I'm also gonna be brewing a coffee from Thailand because I think it's really cool. Like not a lot of people have tasted coffee from Thailand before. I really like this one. It's like very fruity, nice acidity. And then the last one is a coffee from Colombia, which is part of our premium line as well. Definitely like more complexity in terms of flavor. So I think it's like a nice mix of things.
And do you have a favorite coffee yourself?
It changes every day or sometimes every hour, but yeah, I think I usually go for more fruity, complex coffee. When I'm talk about complexity, it's mostly like a coffee that can be sweet and have like a higher acidity as well, or like a long aftertaste, like a coffee that stays in my mouth like after a couple minutes that I have been drinking it. So no, like I don't have like a specific origin that I like most or anything like that. I like coffee in general, so I love just doing this, just tasting coffee all the time. But yeah, I think between the three that we are gonna taste today, probably the Thailand is one of the ones that I like the most. I think this one is low battery, but don't worry, we have plenty of scales here.
And so now you are weighing the amount of grinds you put in?
Yes, so I actually already weighted it because we grind our coffee before, because the grinder is very loud.
Yeah, sorry.
You missed one part of it. But yeah, I have my coffee already weighed. But when we do pour over coffee, we follow a recipe. So you basically, you know how much coffee are you using, and then you decide how much water you are going to use for that coffee, because you don't want your coffee to be too strong or too watery. You want it to have it balanced. Yeah. So that means the ratio, like how much water are you using for which amount of coffee. So right now we are using a regular recipe for coffee flights, which is like 12 grams of coffee up to 200 grams of water. So I need the scale to see that I'm actually doing that. That's the first one. The reason of why I am using a scale. So the first one here will be the Colombia. Then we have a coffee from Thailand. And the third one is also a Colombia, but a more premium one. And this scale is pretty cool because it has also like a mirror scale. So sometimes when we want to show the customers or things like that, we can show them actually what we are doing. It's great for education. And also there is competitions about this. Yeah. Okay, so Ply, which is one of the owners, usually use this scale. That way he can show the judges the recipe that he's doing, which is quite cool.
That's so cool.
My hot water right here. So for each coffee first, I'm just gonna pour like 50 grams of water approximately. I'm gonna wait like for 30-40 seconds. This is called bloom because all the coffee, once it's roasted, generate like a lot of gases. So you want your coffee to degas first before brewing.
Oh, okay. Cool. I did not know that.
That's why you can see like a couple bubbles coming in. And this usually happens when coffee is fresh as well.
It'll bubble like that and like
yes.
That? Cool.
So yeah, some 45 seconds. This is gonna be like a very simple recipe, so just 2 pours.
And so what got you into coffee and like working here and stuff?
Well, I am from Chile and I arrived here like 4 years ago. I studied psychology, but I knew that I was not gonna be able to work as a psychologist here in Canada. And the other thing that I really liked, it was coffee. So I did a barista course before coming here. At the time I was really into coffee, like going to a lot of roasteries in Chile, tasting more coffee. Like in this method, we were already preparing things like this at home. And then when I arrived here, I looked like, I mostly just Google like, okay, specialty coffee in Edmonton. And this was the first thing that I appeared, and they were hiring, and I came, and it was, yeah, I just get super into it. And then it has been great to work actually in a roastery, because then I have the chance to taste all the coffees that we have here. We source as well, so we are always tasting and deciding which coffees are we actually gonna sell here, which ones are gonna roast. We are constantly evaluating coffees as well, so I've been learning a lot, and it's really nice to be able to work with people who actually also enjoy coffee as much as me. Yeah. So usually when we drink coffee like ourselves, we don't do this all the time with customers or anything. One of the first things that you usually do is just smell the coffee. Coffee has a lot of aromatics, so sometimes just by smelling coffee, you can tell like they are different. And this is actually how we serve like coffee flights sometimes. We just have like a board, we have a coffee number 1, 2, and 3. We give them the cups. We of course let them know which coffees they are drinking. We explain more about like the process of the coffee, the origin, like how coffee is supposed to taste. We recommend them to taste it when it's warm, when it's cold as well, because coffee changed a lot when it started to cool down as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So it's like a whole experience. But yeah, coffee, this method allows you to play a lot with different recipes. For the coffee flights, we do like a very standard recipe because we just want people to taste coffee as it is. Yeah. But here we sell like different kind of drippers, which is the same, different kind of filter paper. All those things are gonna change the flavor profile and the experience that you are gonna have from that coffee. Like body is gonna change, aroma might change. So yeah, it's basically like some kind of lab, I would say here. So it's nice to have like all these tools and play around. Yeah, I don't know if you have any question, you want to taste some coffee.
Yeah, I think we can try it. Would you mind going over again? Because I know you said Colombia, Thailand, and Colombia. But can we talk about like the notes and kind of what we're
So this
into,
one is the first Colombia, which is the one that I say that we use for like our drip coffee or batch brew. It should be like more chocolate, nutty, very like easygoing for someone who is not super into coffee, or when you just like kind of like the morning coffee. You don't want anything crazy, just want a black cup of coffee. A lot of people are gonna put like cream or milk in it, so it's something like more cozy and comfortable. I don't know if you are used to drink coffee like black, I tell, but it might be a bit.
Usually I drink very like fake coffee, like with caramel and vanilla and a lot of milk and sugar.
No, that's super fair. We have a lot of customers here that, of course, they want just like a vanilla latte or a latte or something like that. And we think like it's great. Usually espresso base and coffee with milk is how a lot of people start. So we are also worry a lot about like the coffee with milk that we are serving as well. But once we also have a lot of customers that once they see us like doing things like that, they, oh, what are you doing? What is that? And we give them samples and we start tasting or talking to them about coffee and how coffee can taste. So it's very nice to see customers that just drink latte with sugar and then they start ordering actually black coffee.
Yeah.
That's really nice to see. Yeah.
Because I think it helps you appreciate the coffee for what it actually is, as opposed to changing it so much like I do with.
Yeah.
But that's actually cool. I see what you mean of like notes of things, or maybe I see it because you've said it. Like, I probably couldn't pick it out if I just did it, but.
Yeah, but maybe if we taste one of the other ones, which I think should be very different to this first one, can tell like, okay, this is different. So the second one is gonna be the coffee from Thailand.
Oh, it already smells different.
It's different.
That's so weird because it kind of like, it looks the same relatively. Actually, I think it's that one you poured, but I don't know.
What's different about it?
It tastes like.
Do you want to taste some?
Sure. Yeah. I'll pass them behind the camera. I would say, maybe I'm just making this up. I don't actually know anything about coffee.
Go for it.
But
So much.
I'm getting more like fruity or like honey or like sweeter maybe than the other one, than the one that we just tried over here.
Yeah, the Colombia. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. Especially for these ones. I mean, I try this coffee all the time, but every time, sometimes depending on how we are doing it, tastes a little bit different. But I think especially today, I'm tasting like a lot of honey, kind of like black honey, almost like syrupy.
Yeah.
Also, the body is very syrupy, so that helps you to actually taste like it. Sometimes not just the flavor, but also the texture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like, kind of reminds me of molasses.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Like very syrupy. That's cool.
That is really cool.
That's so crazy. What the heck?
Okay. If you want, you can just rinse it here, and we can taste the last one.
Oh, okay. And so, are they? Do you know about like how they're grown? Like, why is it that they taste different? Just because they were grown in different places,
So,
in different growing conditions, maybe.
yeah, everything. There are many factors that are gonna create like the flavor profile of a coffee. Of course, different countries, different soil where coffee grows. That will be like the terroir. The altitude affects a lot as well. Coffee that grows at lower temperature usually produce less caffeine.
Oh.
And that caffeine usually is like a bitter compound. So coffees that sometimes from Brazil, Colombia, that grows at lower temperature are going to be more similar to the first Colombia that we taste, more like chocolate, nutty, very simple, like easygoing. And coffee that grows at higher temperature, like in Ethiopia or Africa in general, and that is a reason because African coffee are like more fruity, grows at higher altitude. And that means that the fruity, the cherry fruit, which is where the coffee comes from, ripe more slow. And that creates like more complexity, that gives the cherry more time to produce different kind of sugars as well. Like it's less, not less caffeine, but it's just a different ripeness of the fruit. It takes longer. And then the process as well, which is, you have the coffee bean, right, which is actually a seed. It's not a bean, it's just the seed of the cherry. And there are different ways to separate the cherry fruit from the seed. Depending on how that process goes, that's what we call process. Sometimes watch coffee, watch coffee is the coffee that is completely peeled and then dry, and then we roasted it. And natural coffee process is just they leave actually the cherry in and dried it with the bean. And they dried it like under the sun for around 20 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that means that usually those coffees absorb more of the fruit as well, or
because it dries with it as opposed to being on its own.
And then today it gets way more complicated than that because everyone around the world is experimented a lot with coffee processes. They are experimenting more with the fermentation of coffee, similar like with kombucha or beers that are more like funky. And so they sometimes add things to like the fermentation process. They add the cherries to like a tank with water, and they add like, I don't know, orange peel or different juices or things like that. And they leave the coffee fermented for sometimes 2 days, sometimes 100 hours. And that creates like coffee that is actually sometimes even have like a more winey taste. Some people like it, some people no, but it's nice to see how people is actually playing with that part. So it's not just the origin, it's also like how the coffee is processed. So it can change a lot during just the process of the coffee.
Yeah.
And then when coffee arrives here, you roasted it, and also all the roasteries roast in a different profile as well. So also it tastes different when you have like a coffee from the exactly same farm and you tasted it from different roasteries around the country or around the world.
They all do
It's gonna taste different, yeah. and then you brew it in different ways, and it's gonna taste different. So it's it's a lot to learn, which is really fun. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like there would always be something new to learn or a different way that it could be done, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Always keeps it interesting, I guess.
Exactly. And then you have the variety of the coffee as well. So depending on the variety, there are varieties that grow a higher temperature, low temperature. Different countries are well known for specific varieties, things like that, that also affect the different varieties are going to have different flavor profile as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what usually, like, all the info that you have, like, in a bag. So you have the coffee origin, like the country where it's coming from, usually the name of the farm or the producer, then the process, the varietal of the beans, the altitude where it's grown, where it was roasted, because for us it's also very important when the coffee was roasted. We usually recommended it to drink the coffee within a month from the roast date, and then the flavors note that I was talking about before. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun world.
Yeah. So much more goes into it than I think I realize and that a lot of people realize, because you know, you get your morning coffee and you drink it, but there's so much to explore and actually get into with coffee, and so many different ways of brewing it, and just so many different varieties that I honestly never knew about. Like, I never knew coffee could taste like the one that we got.
Yeah.
Like, that was so cool.
Yeah, that's very nice to show to customers as well.
Yeah, like, it's so fun, and I think the difference as well from like the first to the second is like kind of like night and day. Like, they taste.
Yeah, that's the only thing. If you wanna like go into coffee and taste more, it's hard to taste one cup at the time, and then the coffee that I tasted yesterday was different. It really makes a difference to taste the coffee side to side. That's what we usually recommend to people who is just starting in the coffee journey, or like training more their palate as well, like opening more to the tasting experience, like tasting coffee side by side. That's the best way. Yeah,
cool.
100%.
And then this one was from Colombia.
Colombia, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this one, I think it has a higher acidity for sure than the other two.
Yeah.
More like a grapefruit kind of.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's exactly what I was thinking. As soon as I tried this one, it's very like acidic. Yeah, like tart. Like, it's, where's your cup, Rochelle? You can try it. I forget which one it is. Is it this one that we just tried?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is that one.
I should try it. It's very grapefruity. Crazy.
It's like clementine, grapefruit.
You could like put this in a cup for me and I wouldn't think it was coffee.
Yeah, like it almost tastes like juice.
A lot of people say that, and then it's very fun. I think when you first, and that happened to me as well, the first time that I tried a coffee from Ethiopia, actually, it was like, I didn't know this can be coffee, like this, like an iced tea or something like that.
That's so cool. Like iced, I feel like this would be like
This on ice would be really good.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow. Do you have like a favorite, what's the way to word this question?
Brew method?
Maybe. Or like a favorite place that coffee goes? Like what is your ideal coffee?
Okay.
What does your ideal coffee look like? Or taste like, I guess. Look like.
Yeah, probably pretty close to what we are drinking right now. Usually acidity in coffee translate in something that is like clean and almost like it leaves your palate like with a good sensation, and I really enjoy that. So I like high acidity coffees. I like some sweetness as well, of course, to balance that acidity. Yeah. But usually I really enjoy acidity in coffees. And I guess, well, I don't know if this was your question or no, but the coffee that I like the most, and this can sound cheesy, is the coffee that I'm tasting with more people. Like just actually drinking coffee with people. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons because I like working in coffee, because we are all into it, and then maybe sometimes we don't like something, but we comment about it, and what you don't like about this coffee, what you do like about this coffee, or maybe if we try a different recipe, it can be taste different, and things like that. So I think I don't have like a specific coffee that I like. Maybe I do have a brew method, which I prefer, which is this kind, like pour over filter coffee. But I don't have a specific coffee or a specific country of origin or process in general. That's usually changing depending on my mood, the moment of the day, things like that. But I really enjoy sharing coffee with people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cute because it's like the social aspect of it too. Like it's more than just drinking a cup of coffee. It's having a conversation and
Yeah.
So cheesy. It's cheesy because it's true. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason because I've been working already here for years since I arrived here, and now I feel like it's a path that I actually want to continue. Like I feel so much passion about it, and I have been having so much fun, and I keep learning every day, so that's great.
It's amazing. Yeah. For you. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any other question about all these things.
No, I think you answered everything. I understand what happened. I couldn't do it myself probably, so I messed it up. But thank you so much.
No worries, it was really nice.
I'm Dave.
I'm Dave as well.
Awesome. And can you tell us a bit about yourselves?
Well, we're friends, and we actually go back to grade 7. So we've known each other for a long time, and we both have a love for coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're coffee roasters, I guess. That's what we call ourselves. We spend a lot of time not doing that nowadays, but yeah, that's what I think we think of ourselves as.
And so how long has Rogue Wave Cofee been open?
Since about later 2015.
And where did the idea of opening a cafe and roastery come from?
Goes back a long ways. I remember a little more, but we actually built a stainless steel roaster when we were 19, 20 or so, like quite a few years ago. Yeah.
Started a few fires, but it was okay.
Where did that come from? Just like a love of coffee, and you're like, hey, this would be fun. We should try building a roaster.
I myself, not sure about Dave, but I didn't drink coffee back then. It was the attraction to actually like manufacturing or making something. So with roasting, you could like bring beans in and roast them or like manufacture them, and then control how they're like brewed. And it was all very like, the industry was a lot smaller then than now, so I think that was part of the appeal. I don't know if you remember more.
Yeah, I think we just liked the idea. We kind of approached it in a backwards kind of way. Most people start and get into coffee and they work as a barista, or they fall in love with drinking coffee and then they grow into roasting. And I think we weren't super heavily involved in drinking coffee, but we just liked the idea of roasting it. So we kind of went backwards, and it was a weird way of coming into it, but I think it's working now. It took a while, but
Took a while, yeah.
And so do you drink coffee now?
A ton
Oh,
of
yeah,
coffee.
ton of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what are your favorite coffees to drink?
I mean, for me, I'm very partial to like African coffees, and especially African naturals. I think Lizette went over some processing things with you guys. I just really like the fruit flavors that come out in those coffees, and I feel like you can taste where they were grown, and there's like a sort of clear expression of the kind of soil and climate and coffee they grow there, just very specifically from that region. And I just really like the flavors of those coffees. A lot of like plum and raspberry and deeper fruit flavors that really resonate with me, I think.
I'm pretty much on the same page. I love like a real fruit bomb of a coffee. So like an Ethiopian natural, I'm a real sucker for, but I also love a lot of coffee that comes out of Panama. It's just like very complex, it's very layered. As it cools, you'll kind of get this like wonderful story coming out of the coffee, just like super interesting. So yeah, those two origins I really love.
Nice. And so how was it opening your cafe and roastery in Alberta and Edmonton specifically?
It's not bad. I mean, we love Edmonton. We're from here, born and raised. Spent some time in other places, but I think we found a pretty surprising community here for people who are interested in coffee and interested in what we do, and being a part of that. Like, we almost never have to really reach out to people in terms of like coming to visit us and try our stuff, but also to like work for us and with us. People are excited to do that, so that was like a really nice surprise for us, I think. I would say we're a little isolated here in terms of like our market and also just physically. Like if you think about our business, a lot of it is just shipping either coffee or coffee equipment here, and we're very far from ports. We're kind of like way far north, very cold. There's a lot of problems that come with that. I think like if we could have chosen a location, we'd probably be on a port somewhere just for ease of use for what we're doing. But I think outside of some hiccups that I think all businesses go through, it's been pretty positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very positive. I mean, we obviously, if we could do it all over again, we'd probably do a lot of things differently. But in some ways, there's only one way to learn. And I'd say for like myself, that's been one of like the good lessons that we've learned, that like failure is actually like a very good learning experience. And we had a lot of that our first few years, and we still do, but it's been a real positive experience, and it's been also, like Dave was saying, very wonderful to see how like Edmonton has kind of embraced us. So, yeah.
And so you spoke a bit about a couple challenges that you had, but are there any like big challenges that came up when first opening or first starting out that you maybe didn't expect prior to?
Probably like a laundry list of things, but I'm trying to think of something. I've kind of moved past it a bit. I would say, I guess maybe it always surprises us how long it takes to get things done, like either get things through some level of bureaucracy or just projects we want to do and we don't realize how long it'll take. You think, we'll do this thing we want to change or grow this side of the business, and we think, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. And then it's months later and you're still kind of just getting started. It's like that kind of thing where it's like we try to move fast, but I feel like in business and growing stuff, it always takes longer than you think. And it can be frustrating, but you kind of got to just deal with it and kind of slowly grow, slowly move forward towards what you want to do.
Absolutely.
I'd say it's very similar. We're definitely like years behind a lot of projects that we want to undertake. But then also when we look back at the past, there's like, we've accomplished a lot too. So that's also like a neat thing now that we have years of experience behind us.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I read this thing once that was like, you are where you wished you were like 5 years ago. So like, give yourself a break because you're doing great. Mm-hmm. And so I always think about that in like regards to how far you've come, and when you always think that there's more that you want to be doing, but you've done like a great job so far. So, and so what would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
That's tough. I feel like our job has changed a lot over the years, kind of thing. So now I think, like if you had asked me a couple of years ago, it would have been like, and I still love this, but it's like sort of bridging that gap for someone when they first discover coffee, or seen their love of coffee, or seen them discover us and discover what coffee can be. And I still love that, obviously. But I think now I feel like the most rewarding part is like seeing the people who work for us, or the things we put in place starting to grow on their own and almost like take the life of their own. So like we don't need to be we're not putting as much input into things, and things are just happening, and you see people succeeding and doing things even better than you could in our business, which I think, I don't know, I get a lot of satisfaction from, and it lets us like grow and do more interesting things.
Yeah, very, very similar. I think one of the interesting things is like what you think you're going to be doing is not at all what you end up doing. But it's been so like wonderful to see some of the talent that we have in the company, and start to see individuals really put their stamp on some things, and kind of see that creative side like unleashed. That's been like very rewarding, personally very rewarding. Yeah.
And so do you have any advice for people who are wanting to open a business here in Alberta?
I don't know. I don't really like to give advice. I feel like I'm unqualified to give advice to anybody, but I don't know. I feel like maybe really think about what you want to be doing like 5 years from now into this venture you're trying to take on. Don't think like about me, but like the fun things now, or the stuff you think you're going to be doing every day, but think about what it's going to look like later, so you can know like maybe the shape of your life down the road when everything becomes successful, and what you're actually going to be doing. And if you're okay with that, and that seems like something you want to do, I'd keep it pretty general.
Yeah, I'd say really the healthy approach to kind of rolling with the punches, as they say, that a lot of the things that like we would beat ourselves up over for mistakes in the first few years, like now you look back on them, they don't really matter that much. So yeah, you're just like, no, you're going to take the first few years you're going to take a few lumps, but it doesn't actually matter down the road. So that's my little humble piece of advice. Yeah.
And so, what would you say sets you apart from other cafes and roasteries?
I'd say 100% our team. I would say we have people that really are talented and love coffee and can talk about coffee in like a very approachable, encouraging, fun way. So
I definitely see that. Sorry to like cut in, but like I definitely noticed that just with everything that I learned, there was never a moment where I was standing there feeling stupid about not knowing things. It was always, I felt excited to learn things, you know what I mean? Because I think sometimes when you talk to experts, there's like a very evident gap that you feel of like, oh, I don't have the same amount of knowledge than you. But I felt very supported in just the experience that I had with the sets.
that's really wonderful to hear. Really wonderful to hear. Yeah. I don't have anything to add, Dave?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, we were just talking when we were going over your questions before. We were talking with David. It's like when we think about ourselves, that's like the only thing that really sets us apart. We do a lot of things we think are unique, but without our staff or without the people communicating that to people or actually doing the work and making the drinks, that we can't make the drinks as well as our staff, not even close kind of thing. They're amazing baristas, and almost all of like the compliments or good reviews we get from people are always like amazing staff, great experience stuff. So like we would be nothing without the people who have like helped shape us who we are and helped us grow.
And so what types of things do you carry on your menu and in store?
That's a lot. We have a lot of product. I'd say they can be separated between our coffee. That coffee, we love flavor. We love like interesting coffee, and then our gear, like how to like a lot of that is to empower people to like really pull their flavors out of coffee. So a lot of like manual brew equipment, hand grinders. So kind of almost everything you need to like make a good cup of coffee at home, right down to like manufacturing like your own water, where you can start with a distilled water base, add some minerals, and like have a great cup of coffee. So yeah.
I think that mostly covers it. In the shop, we do carry like a couple local bakeries and pastries that we're pretty proud of. We have Baking by Ears, we have Chocorant, which is pretty nearby, and we carry, they have great croissants. We sell out almost every Saturday of their stuff for sure.
Oh my gosh, so
And
good.
we use Lockstock as well. They do a lot of our like weekday baking, so yeah.
Wow.
And Bloom Cookies, and our tea comes from the Tea Girl.
Oh,
And we
nice.
worked with her for, oh man, I don't know what, 7 years now maybe?
Oh, wow.
Quite a while,
So
yeah.
all like other local, like kind of supporting the local business vibe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what would you say are your favorite menu items or favorite thing you carry? Let's branch out to that. So it can even be like something that helps you make coffee.
That's a good question.
Okay, I'll start. I love our origami drippers. It was almost a love at first sight when I first saw the dripper. They're bright, colorful, fun, practical, and then I also love our hand grinders. They are like a well-made instrument that feel good in the hand, and they do like a quality job of grinding. And when you've done like worked with like a little like subpar equipment, I don't want to say subpar, but like these are just like they're almost a lifetime purchase. So I really appreciate that.
That's a tough one for me a little bit. We've got so much stuff. I would also say hand grinder too. I think like it makes a huge difference in your life. I don't make a lot of coffee at home, but my girlfriend makes a lot, and buying like a nice hand grinder for her was like a huge difference to the experience. And just you could see like make someone happier, or they're happier with what they're doing, and they take more pride in. She's like more interested in doing stuff. And the occasional days when I make it at home, I'm glad I have like a better grinder to make it with for sure.
Absolutely. And so we noticed on your website that you do monthly subscriptions. And so how long have you been doing those?
Like about 2.5 years, something like that.
Cool. And can you talk about Can you talk a bit about that process and what a monthly subscription really is and what it looks like?
Put a good simple plug in. You can go on our website at roguewavecofee.ca, and you can choose a subscription that really works for you in terms of whether you want like Roaster's Choice, which is us like curating coffee that we think people are going to love, or like African coffees, which will be a little more like those fruit bombs we were talking about. And then you can choose how many bags of coffee you want a month, and also the frequency, if you want it once a month or every 2 weeks. And then it gets dropped off at your front step in Edmonton by local delivery, or we mail it. And you even get a subscription video once a month where we do a custom recipe for the coffee. So, we'll plug. I'll let Dave add anything to that.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah.
Not to be too shameless, but
It's okay, I asked the question. And so, where do you get your coffee? Might be all over the place, but.
Yeah, it is all over the place. Pretty much anywhere that grows coffee, we brought in at some point. We bring in a lot of coffee from Africa and Panama, like Dave said, Colombia, Guatemala, Costa Rica. Yeah, pretty much anywhere you can think of, even some newer up-and-coming specialty regions. Like we bring in coffee from Myanmar, bring in some Asian coffee. We have Thai coffee on the menu right now. We bring in Indonesian coffee sometimes. Yeah, pretty much just anywhere you can grow coffee, we'll bring it in at some point.
Right. And so people can buy your coffee either online or in store here, correct? At your location in Edmonton.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. And if someone was just starting to get into coffee, what would you recommend for them?
I would probably recommend buying like a very inexpensive like Kono dripper to start, just to see if you like the pour over. They're like very affordable and they make great coffee. They're super easy to use. You can do a lot of things with them. If you could only buy one thing, it would probably be that, just a simple dripper.
Yeah, that's the way to go. It's very durable too. Can't break it. Looks good. Works well. And encourage people just to dive in and try some interesting coffee. Yeah, I might be surprised at how much you love it when you first get into it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how different it can taste,
and
which is what I learned when we were standing over there. And so, what do you do outside of Rogue Wave Cofee?
These days, not a lot. Pretty busy in the business. When you get a chance to go away, I don't know, I like cycling when I get a chance, like seeing the city, like being out in the fresh air, spend a lot of time inside beside a loud roaster, so it's nice to get out into a little bit of peace and quiet. Like watching movies, like most people, eating good food, trying other places and other coffee in the city, or if I'm traveling, I like to go try coffee in other places.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite things to do because I really missed it with the business, was getting out and actually like going for a coffee. So it doesn't happen too often, but if we do get away from like the business, I love like meeting a friend at a coffee shop and having somebody else make coffee and just enjoying conversation. And and also like the other side is kind of trying new food and flavors and just kind of trying to like see what flavors you can come across. So yeah.
For sure. And I know you said you weren't an advice guy, but this is my last question. And what is the best piece of advice you've received throughout your life?
I mean, I don't know if it's like a specific person or like piece of advice I can remember, but just the general idea from people to be like to try things and to like not worry about like, oh, is this going to be a bad idea or something. Just like you're not going to regret like trying something. I mean, within reason, but you're probably going to regret not trying something, or the trip you didn't take, or the thing you didn't do. And I think that's part of the business. Like we tried something, it was very hard at first and was like kind of a slog and like a little bit of a crazy situation, but it was like an amazing experience as well. So I think just to try more things and not be worried about it.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much the same thing. Like almost some ways, it's like I think if we wouldn't have started the business, we always would have had like that in the back of our minds, like what if? And I think now there's kind of no regrets on that side. So yeah, give things a shot. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So kind of in a nutshell, to walk everyone through our roasting process, we'll get samples of green coffee sent to us from farms all over. And we do visit farms, but also a lot of our producers are very modern and very enterprising, I should say. So we talk to them over WhatsApp, have Zoom meetings. we'll talk to them about crops, and they'll send us samples. So we'll get like small amounts of green coffee that we roast on a small coffee roaster, and then we cup and grade that coffee. And if we really like it, we bring in bigger bags, full bags of that coffee. And then at that point, we're roasting the coffee on our bigger roaster. And there's kind of two sides to it. The first is we want to have as high a quality of like a raw ingredient as possible, and that's the green coffee. We want this to be just exceptional quality that almost highlights the region where the coffee is from and the different notes. And then when we roast it, we want to maximize the potential that is in these, like in this raw product, in this green coffee, and really kind of honor the hard work that the producers put into growing and harvesting and processing these green beans. So in that way, we want to use our experience and all the data that we've collected over the years to almost get out of the way of the coffee, if we can say that, to just kind of allow the natural flavors and characteristics to shine through without us like imparting too much kind of on that coffee. So as I said, we're very data driven, so we collect a lot of data that over the years has helped us to kind of streamline the roast profile. So like basically like the duration and the heat and like how much we put into each coffee, and we really hope that shows in like the cup of coffee that all our customers brew. So that's kind of our roasting process, like in a nutshell. And this big stainless steel instrument is kind of the heart of the business in many ways. So.
It's not the one you made, I'm guessing.
This is not the one we made. This one's not the one we made. Yeah. Somebody's sad. So, all right.
Welcome back. We just finished up at Rogue Wave Cofee, and it was so yummy. It was so fun.
It was great.
And now I'm basically a trained barista, and I know everything about coffee.
Actually, though, we know how to read the notes. There's a couple
Taste
different
the notes.
Yeah, but like you read like from your palate. Is that not what they call like you read
maybe.
the notes?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're
I
right.
could be
You're
completely wrong.
No, I'm probably wrong.
I mean, actually, I'm kind of a coffee expert right now, but it's fine.
Yeah, so it was super fun. Try it out. Try a coffee flight. They were super fun.
That was super fun. I love that idea. Yeah.
I honestly never would have tried. I'm not adventurous when it comes to certain things, and so I never would have tried it had we not just had the opportunity to. But I'm super glad that we did, because it was really fun.
No, I had so much fun. I was behind the camera today, but got to try the coffee. It was actually really good, like strangely good. And I think the only issue is I've just been having kind of bad coffee. That's why I don't like black coffee. But yeah, it was good.
Yep. Thanks
Check it out.
All right, so we'll just start with your name.
Okay, my name is Mateo Sacramento.
And can you tell us a bit about yourself?
56 years old. I'm a teacher by trade, graduate from University of Alberta here. Been working with the family business since 1988, full-time since 1995 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you said you've been working with the family business since...
So our family started the restaurant business in 1979, and I was 12 years old, bussing tables at that time.
Wow.
So my dad and my brother-in-law, who's our president today, started Sorrentino, it was called, in 1979. And the first Sorrentino, and we'll get into maybe that later as far as a name change, was this guy in 1986. So I kind of kick-started this guy here a couple years later with my chef, Maria.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what was the inspiration behind opening the restaurant and starting the family business?
My dad and my brother-in-law always had my dad was always an immigrant, came from Italy, was in the grocery business, always kind of had a little knack for restaurants. And my brother-in-law was more instrumental in the push. And he was being a school teacher, my brother-in-law, kind of lured my dad into the restaurant business, and they got into it in 1979, and the rest is history. We've been around over 40-something years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many locations do you have now?
So Sorrentino's, we have 6. There's one in West End, myself, downtown, South Side. There's one in Stony Plain and one in St. Albert. And then we also own Buco, B-U-C-O Pizzeria, which there's 3. Windermere, St. Albert, and in Buco, Epcor Tower, across from Rogers. And then there's 2 Sorrentino cafes, one in the airport, one on 109th Street and 107th Avenue.
Wow.
So, and along with that, Sorrentino's being our mother name, everything falls under that umbrella name. We have catering, we have commissary, we have cooking classes that all take part out of our cafe on 109th Street. So, yeah.
Wow. So what started as like one little restaurant has grown into so
different
much
things.
more.
Exactly.
And so what type of food and drink do you carry?
You know what? Primarily, we cater to and provide Italian food. So what does that mean? A lot of pastas, appetizers, veal dishes, chicken dishes, a lot of seafood dishes, but it's primarily strictly Italian cuisine. Yeah, pizzas. Yeah.
And so what would you say is the most popular menu item?
Oh boy, this guy being the original, we opened, like I said, in 1986. We still have our homemade cannelloni on the menu. Cannelloni is an Italian crepe, if you wish. And I would say that's probably one of our most popular items. So, yeah.
And do you yourself have a favorite menu item?
There's so many. I mean, Maria's like mom cooking here, so all her food reminds me of my mom's food. So I don't really have a favorite. I dabble, and I like mostly everything she makes, so we make. So, yeah.
And what would you say sets you apart from other restaurants?
We've always kind of been innovators. Like, we always stay above, I think, competitors. So having said that, we take trips to down south, Vegas, different conventions, just to see what's out there, the latest trends, if you wish, menu changes, so on and so forth, equipment changes, and we try and adapt and bring that to our places here in Edmonton so we can stay with or above everyone else. In this business, if you don't change after so many years, you can see yourself falling behind it in the race, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I think, I don't know if we're above everyone in that, but our longevity, along with our consistency and our great family we have that works with us, our team, our staff, we cater to what our crowd wants. So that's, I think, one of our successes to our longevity.
Mm-hmm, for sure. The people talk and you listen, you know?
Absolutely. So as an example, when we first started, my brother-in-law was a stickler with this too. So customers would come into our first locations like this one and say, you know what, Mateo, I think that thing would look good if it was there. The next day that customer came, that thing was over there. So it's constructive criticism, but yet we listened, you know, with both ears, and people liked it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned before kind of a name change. What was
So we started as a Sorrento, our first location in Castle Downs. Sorrento is a little town in Naples, Italy, and that's where my brother-in-law's from. We're from close, but we're from Calabria. So his first restaurant with my dad was called Sorrento, kind of named after his town. The Sorrentino name change, this used to be our family grocery store. We changed it to Sorrentino's in 86, and why the name change? The I-N-O ending in Italian kind of means smaller. So this being a small little location, let's change it to, instead of Sorrento, Sorrentino. And then we opened a few more after that because business was good. And the other main reason was we wanted to see if we could kind of branch this concept outside of Alberta, which we tried, and we couldn't do with the name Sorrento because Sorrento was a trademark across Canada already. So Sorrentino's, no one has that name except us. So if we ever wanted to branch that name out it's our name. We pay for that name. So that's kind of another main reason why we switched over to Sorrentino's. Yeah.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. And so you're speaking a bit about the cities and towns in Italy. Have you been to Italy?
When I was a little guy in grade 4, unfortunately, that's, yeah, I remember, but I was so small, and I just, we got to go back. I want to go back with my wife and kids, and just to see where, because when you're little, you don't appreciate where your parents came from and everything else.
Absolutely.
So we're definitely going to make an attempt to get out there soon, but yeah, I've only been there once, unfortunately.
And so you talked a bit before as well about branching out and offering like cooking classes and doing catering. What do the cooking classes look like, and can you kind of talk more about what you offer?
So cooking class, just think of our restaurants as a tree, and we're the trunk of the tree, Sorrentino's. The branch of that tree is this industry. You can do so many different things. Cooking classes being a branch, commissary being a branch. We started cooking classes, I believe, in 2005, 2006, and we do a variety of cooking classes. We do different themes. So we've done many where it's a kids theme. Kids would come in with their parents. And we usually hold them to about 20, 30 people. We did a big one of 60, but that's pushing it. And they did just what kids would do in the kitchen. You know, get dirty, get messy with flour, make pizzas, whatever. We do different pasta cooking classes. It's a very good team building, bonding type of get together, as opposed to companies going out and dining at restaurants. They say, you know what, let's do a cooking class together with the boss and the staff. So we supply everything for them. Okay, they actually cook what our chef Antonio provides, and then they get a chance to sit in our cafes, and with a nice glass of wine accompanying the food that they made, they get to eat it. Aww. So it's very popular. And if people want more information, it's sorrentinos.com, and there's a heap load of information on there that they can kind of do themselves or whatever. So, yeah.
I remember, I think I was like 12, but I took a pizza making class at Sorrentino's.
There you go.
Yeah. And we still use that recipe for like pizza dough to this day.
Yeah, they're popular. Like I say, we've been doing them since 04, 05, and it's 2023, so they're still going and becoming more and more popular. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, it's limited. Like I say, Chef Antonio likes to get about 20, I think cap it at 30 people at a time. So, but they're always busy, so it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's nice too to keep it a little bit smaller, just so you can actually
it's
like
more
talk
intimate.
To people.
It's like this place here. You know everyone by first name. They know you. It's very personal. We're Italian. It's all about family and closeness and friends.
Yeah. And so, if you could open a Sorrentino's anywhere else in the world, where would it be, and why?
We were talking about that not long ago, actually, but this is a pipe dream. But I guess Italy, have your own winery.
Wow.
And your own label, name on your bottled wine, blah, 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 in a vineyard somewhere in Italy, company with a nice Sorrentino. That would be a pipe dream. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but that's probably where I would lean towards. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just got to manifest it. Speak it into
You never know, right?
Yeah,
you never know. We never knew we were going to have 9 locations today, or 11 locations, so we start with 1, so you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe not me or my generation, but my kids or my nephews that are on board, maybe they'll take it to another level, so you never know.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And speaking a bit about building up the business and working and all that, what would you say has been like the biggest challenge for you since?
Oh, in this industry, you know, the stuff that we can't control. COVID really thank God we still, standing above ground on the right side of ground. None of us had to close, but interest rates, government decisions that affect the hospitality sector, different governments. There's a lot of challenges in this industry. Food prices. I mean, I'm sure you go out and do your own grocery shopping at home. Well, you see the prices out there where you can imagine with a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
So, minimum wages going up, and you got to be careful with what you charge your clients. You don't want to diminish quality, which we never do, and that's one of the consistency and the I think successes of business in this business. But you got to be careful now with prices going up, and you don't want to charge your consumer too much either, or they're not going to come. It's a matter of compensating for what you're paying, but people don't understand that. So there's a few challenges, but those I think are probably some of the most important ones. Yeah.
And so throughout all the challenges, how do you remain resilient and kind of?
You know what? We're a tight-knit group, family. So when COVID, for example, hit, which was the worst thing, I think, in my lifetime that I've ever experienced, I'm sure a lot of people, we just put all our heads together as a family and said, okay, where do we go from here? What do we do? And we're resilient, we're hardworking, and we just rolled up our sleeves and got to work and said, okay, this is what's going to happen, what we're going to do, and we prevailed. We did it. So just tightness, being close, I think is very, very key.
For sure. And what would you say is like the biggest success that you've seen so far?
Biggest success, you know what, all the work we do with charities. We've done and raised over $5-6 million with charities in the last 25 years. And that, to me, to our family, means the world. When you can give back to somebody that's not as fortunate as you are, it's a great feeling. And people that procrastinate and say, oh, you guys do that, you know what, did you ever give somebody something? Try one day. You'll feel amazing. And with us, we've started the Sorrentino Compassion House, which deals with breast cancer patients. We gave to Lois Hole Foundation at the Royal Alexandra Hospital. We dealt with the Prostate Cancers Association, the Parkinson disease. So we've branched out and did a lot of things, and namely through some events we do during the year. For example, Garlic Festival in April. We just celebrate our 31st annual. We do a Mushroom Festival in September. And those festivals, which we do a lot of publicity for, a lot of marketing, advertising, draw people here, but we give back to our charities, mainly from those months that we raise monies. So, but I would say that's the most gratifying to me, is dealing with the community and with charities. Because let's face it, in business, if you didn't have a community and you didn't help the community, you wouldn't be in business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking about the charities and Sorrentino's Compassion House, can you speak a bit about that and like the inspiration behind it and that sort of thing?
You know what, Berta, we started it, I believe it's been around since late 90s. We took the lead and said, you know what, we're gonna kickstart it with the biggest contribution for you guys. We're gonna call it Sorrentino's Compassion House, and it's exactly that. It's a house of compassion. It started on 109th Street, 76th Ave, which was just a little house with 6-7 rooms, and it's expanded to this day where we bought the land next to it, built another house. So I think overall now it houses 15 to 20 rooms, and unfortunately it's always busy because it's people from Red Deer North that have, and there's males too, breast cancer, and they have nowhere to go. They're alone. So we decided back in 2000, I believe 4, 5, we're going to really be the driving force behind this thing. And that was one of the things too, where we kind of kickstarted as far as our first real donations and support for charity, starting with the Compassion House. Yeah. And then my wife, 7 years breast cancer survivor, she was on the board for Compassion House. My sister Stella was there for eons. My nephew Carmelo was there. So that's probably dear and closest to our Sorrentino family heart, because we started that one. Not saying the other ones aren't. There absolutely are. But that one there was our kind of first little baby. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then watching it grow into all.
Yeah, you know what? And like I say, it's some of the stories are amazing. I don't even get into some of them are sad, but these people have absolutely nobody, and they come here, they get treatment, and they got nowhere to go. They got no money to stay at a hotel. The cross cancer's full, so our house was there, and it's a house of compassion, and they take care of them, they feed them, they house them up there, and for as long as they want, they need help, that room is theirs. It's theirs for as long as they need.
That's so
Yeah.
kind and
Yeah.
beautiful, and do you you're saying some of the stories are sad, obviously, and like
Some
all that
people
sort-
don't make it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
a lot do, and even the ones, to be honest with you, that unfortunately don't later on. Just seeing their smile on their face when they're with people and seeing that people like us and they care. So they're there and they kind of know the outcome, perhaps, but there's always somebody there to talk to. There's other people that are going through the same thing they are. So it just makes life a little bit more, take things into perspective a little differently, and it makes them happy, and it makes us proud and happy. So every little bit we can do to help it just makes us happy.
I think that's really beautiful, providing a space for people
Yeah.
who don't have that space any other way, especially when you've gotten to a point where you don't necessarily have to, you know, like big businesses and growing businesses don't necessarily have to work with charities and do anything to help, but taking the time and the
Yeah, I tell you,
effort to put
it's
it
an
in.
amazing feeling
Yeah.
that you can help as much as you can, you know, to give back to somebody that really needs it more than me and you, and it's like I say, I don't think there's any other better feeling in life than helping another human being. That's the way I look at it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really just spreading kindness, you know? It's really
Basically,
positive.
that's exactly. If everyone can kind of do that, we'd probably live in a little better world, right? I mean, it is what it is, but I think that makes our family very proud.
And so I know you spoke about how you raise money throughout the year with the festivals, but could people donate to?
Absolutely. So Sorrentinos.com, like I mentioned before, you can go to that website. There's a bunch of information on there. Sorrentino's Compassion House has a website. You can go right into that website and donate from there. And there's so many others, but if, like I say, you go to Sorrentinos.com, it has almost everything that we've contributed to or for, and the things that we can provide and do for these different charities. So yeah, you can definitely donate through the websites. Yeah.
Amazing. And so in your business and in your life, who would you say has been the biggest inspiration for becoming who you are in your business?
Inspiration, you know, I want to say my dad. My dad left us, unfortunately, in 1991. He just taught myself, my siblings, just everything, you know, respect, be kind, be nice, you know, be humorous, just personal ability. I think he was my mentor. Definitely was my mentor.
Wow. And so what do you like to do outside of Sorrentino's when you're not working?
I love soccer. I've stopped playing soccer. I'm 56 now. Way back, I had the privilege of representing our country when I was younger, 16, 17. So played for Alberta. Your dad would know everything. Won a national I love soccer. I love golf. I love sports. And most of all, I love, I guess, people. I don't know. Those are my strengths, and that's what kind of puts me into our family business. You're dealing with people all the time, different people. Something different happens all the time in this place. So yeah, that's what I love to do.
Do you have going back to Sorrentino's, do you have maybe a memorable moment with someone who's come in that moment just like really sticks out to you?
There's so many. Like I've met, and to this day, I'm still very good friends with some pretty prominent people, not only just from Edmonton, just from abroad. Hockey players, hockey coaches, GMs, politicians. Yeah, it's amazing. Like what you see is what you get. That's me, you know, and that's why I love small places. You could be yourself, and they come in through those doors. They know who I am. I know who they are. My staff, I try and relate that to them. It's like a family here, and the easiest thing I could say to them is, it's like you invite a guest over to your house. Are you gonna let that guest just veg on that couch, or are you gonna not talk to them? Are you not gonna offer them something to drink, to eat? It's the same thing here. So, is there one moment that stands out? No. Every day is is a new day, and I've met so many awesome people through these little doors here. It's like, yeah, it's great. That's why I continue doing it. I didn't teach because of the love for this industry. So.
And so, speaking of Edmonton, because that's where the business kind of started, what would you say is your favorite thing about living in Edmonton?
The people. There's so many things we can change, obviously, but being born and raised here, the different ethnicities. I was born and raised in this area, so all Europeans, Polish, Ukrainian, Italian, Portuguese, all the European background that was surrounded us at the time. That's what I love about our city. Having traveled other places around North America, you come back to our city. It's. I just got back from California, for example, last week, and the traffic and this and that. I'm like, I said, I can never live like this. And then we come back to our city. It's like, it's cute. It's a little pinch on the cheek type city. You know, it's a nice little city. Yes, we got issues like everyone else, but you know what? The people are nice. The city is nice. I don't mind the 4 seasons. I really don't. I don't mind winters, not minus 40, but you know, I don't mind a little bit of snow. I don't mind the summer, spring. But I think it's the people, the cultures, different cultures, ethnicities that really, I really love here.
Absolutely. And is there anything else you wanted to say about Sorrentino's and the business and yourself?
Not really. Like right now, my brother-in-law is getting a little older. He's still involved. Will always be involved. My dad's definition, poor guy, of retirement was work less, and that's how we all have that mentality, because I don't know, we don't have that definition of retirement. But having said that, with everyone in the family, really, I got 4 nephews, my brother, myself, my sister, we're all involved. We'd like to see it grow a little bit, with a couple more locations in the near future. Yeah, no, just keep doing, I guess, what we're doing with the staff and team that we've built and created, and just hopefully keep giving them Edmontonians and the likes just a good product and a great time.
Amazing. And so my last question here, no pressure. Everyone always thinks it's like such a big question, but we like asking. So what is the best piece of advice you've received throughout your life?
I don't know if it's the best, but you know what? My dad always used to tell me, you know what, son? You're not a bad guy. We're not bad people. Hang around with people better than you. And when I was 18, 19, I kind of like, now I'm 56, and every day it goes by, the older I got, you know what? It makes sense. And I look at my friends that I hang around with now, I haven't changed them since Dad told me that when I was 20, 19. So, makes sense. That's probably one of the pieces of information I'll take with me all the way to the, you know what, so, yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sitting down
Thank you,
with us.
guys. Thank you.